Welcome to Conversations with Candidates. I'm Thor Jourgensen, news editor of the Daily Item, itemlive.com. Our guest is Republican candidate for Essex Sheriff, Kenneth Berg. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Tell us a little about your background, please, and why are you running for sheriff?
Okay. I grew up in the town of Marblehead. I have a bachelor's degree in finance from Bentley University. Later on in my career, I went on to Western New England to get a master's degree in criminal justice administration. I've been in law enforcement or public safety for well over 28 years. I've started my career with the town of Marblehead. I went on to the city of Largo, Florida, and when I became a single parent, I came back to Massachusetts and have been with the MBTA Transit Police for the last 20 years. I'm currently a lieutenant. I've had a lot of command positions. I have commanded the training unit. I've commanded the police academy. I have commanded a district, and I have been a special operations commander, which means I've been in charge of the SWAT team, the bomb squad, the canines, motorcycles, and hostage negotiators. So what I bring to the Sheriff's Department in this race is a very well-rounded combination of training, education, and experience, which has developed into strong leadership and management skills. I am very much about management, managing an operation for efficiency. I'm very much about leadership and leading an organization for change and into the future. So what prompted me to get into the race is that background and that feeling of being ready to handle a position and to want to do that position, but also because I've had conversations with my wife and talked to her extensively about it. We talked to the kids, and when everyone gave me the green light, we decided, let's do this.
The opioid crisis affects everyone's life.
Yes.
We all know someone tragically who's died or lost someone. How can the Sheriff's Department work to reduce and eventually end that epidemic?
Well, first of all, I applaud the legislation of the governor recently dealing with the opioid prescription issue. I recognize the efforts of the current sheriff, who has implemented innovative programs in his department to deal with this issue. And I especially have admiration for Chief Campanello in Gloucester, who has gone out on a limb with his Angel program. But please understand that not one entity, not one person can deal with this issue alone. I am all about building partnerships, and with the foundation that's being left behind by the current sheriff, I will build both public and private partnerships with police, fire, EMS, the schools, and any other private or public organization that wants to be part of a collaborative force to finally eradicate this issue.
How most effectively can the Sheriff's Department work with other law enforcement agencies across the county? It's a big area stretching from Saugus to almost the New Hampshire border.
It's all about partnerships. It's all about developing partnerships, and the reason why that's important and why that becomes part of your management platform and developing partnerships, and I've done this when as a lieutenant at the Transit Police, is you have very limited resources, and the most effective way to tackle an issue or to accomplish a mission is for organizations to get together and share their resources through these partnerships.
Is there a specific priority issue you'd like to identify as a key issue in the sheriff's race?
Well, the opioid issue has taken a front seat, and rightfully so. And I can tell you that being out there campaigning, we have run into this issue so much, and there's even been some talk, some very small chatter that maybe it's taken up too much time. But anyone that says that is insensitive to the citizens of Essex County. Because I was at the Peabody Senior Center during one of our campaign stops, and I had a gentleman come up to me asking questions about the opioid issue, and his questions almost had an angry tone. And then I just saw him kind of well up, and I could see the burden in his face, and he finally broke down and told me that he had a nephew that's an addict, a current addict that's in and out of the system, that's in and out of treatment programs, and he is just financially drained because this nephew has drained everybody in the family financially, and now they turn to this gentleman who's saved for retirement in his golden years, and he has to front the burden financially, and he's just drained from it. So we're seeing this opioid epidemic not only causing death but destruction to families. And so, yes, that's a number one important issue, and I believe that's the important issue for me. Another issue that's important to me, there's several, but I'm going to hit upon veterans issues. My wife and I are steadfast supporters of our troops and our veterans. In fact, we're the proud parents of a son serving in the Navy. So veteran and troop issues are very important to us, particularly PTSD and TBI, traumatic brain injury. What I see as a manager in law enforcement is a lot of these young men and women who have served our country or who leave for a year or so for a deployment, they don't get reintegrated back into the workplace well enough. I see them come back with disciplinary issues, and eventually it leads to termination. And as managers and supervisors in law enforcement and in the criminal justice field, I see that we don't take enough time to recognize that PTSD or TBI might have been part of the issue. So we're failing them. So if elected sheriff, I would have very comprehensive policies dealing with an employee's deployment, making sure there was a family liaison, making sure that there was comprehensive PTSD treatment issues with employee assistance programs. And I would also make sure that there is training for our supervisors and managers to be able to recognize that issue as it develops in our young men and women. Likewise, much like we treat addictions for inmates so that they're more productive, there's a lot of inmates that have PTSD issues. And I think that we owe it to them too to try to address those issues with them and maybe put them on a better path as well.
This has been Conversations with Candidates. Our guest is Kenneth Berg, Republican candidate for Essex Sheriff. I'm Thor Jourgensen, news editor of the Daily Item, itemlive.com. Please remember to vote on Thursday, September 8th. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
You bet.